I'm going to take 10 minutes or less and talk about a concept called zero my skill set. So those of us who served in the United States Army, we've all gone through basic rifle marksmanship training where you're issued a weapon and you have to take that weapon and adjust combination of your sight, your breathing, how you hold the weapon to a point where you're consistently hitting a target in the same place. And usually it takes a few tries, but it's where you take a few practice shots, you make some adjustments to your weapon, you try to tighten what's called the shot group, where uh, your individual shots are getting a little closer to what they call center. So I want to take this concept of zeroing your weapon into the job field, and especially finding a job of either software development as a project manager or in cybersecurity. I think this concept applies to all three areas, and here's why. Because when you leave the military, you spent at least 3 years focused on being a soldier, being great as a soldier, and you don't have an understanding, or at least you may have a dated understanding of what it's like to work for a non-US Army organization. So understanding what employers are looking for and the dynamics around that and how people get hired, those are all things that you have to quickly shift your thinking around so that you're able to align yourself with the needs of the market. So what I hope to do is define a 4-step process where you as a transitioning service member can start by just understanding yourself. Step one is really to document your skills and experiences. You want to sit down and almost like create, if I were to go through this with somebody, I would create 2 tables, or at least a table with at least multiple columns. So let's say we start with your skills and experiences here, and just go down that list of things. I have leadership experience. Some MOSs require that you learn Linux. And I would just go through and brainstorm, okay, what are my 5 or 6 things that I can do really well? And then sit down on websites like monster.com, Indeed. LinkedIn also offers job descriptions, and just take a look at those job descriptions and determine, okay, how different are the 5 or 6 things that I know that I do really well? How different are some of those jobs, from those jobs? Because in the end, what you're trying to do is figure out, what is my gap? The question is, what is my gap in skills or experience? Because you're going to be coming out of the military with one view of the world, and this will hopefully do a couple things. It'll get you in the mindset of quickly understanding job postings, reading them, what job sites are out there. So I recommend just going out to a few job sites, reading over positions that you're interested in, analyzing these job descriptions to look at what's required and what qualifications are needed. Not every job requires a college degree. Sometimes they'll start with relevant experience and certifications. So those are kind of the easy things. Education and certifications are kind of the easy thing. Reading over a job description and trying to understand what skills are required or experience is a little bit more of a challenge. Are they looking for somebody who can work on networks? Are they looking for someone with particular skill set around Cisco gear? Are they looking for someone who can program in a certain language? Those are all things that you should try to understand and get really, really fluent, because it's really now on you as a transitioning service member to understand yourself. And everyone has their own personal style of taking, what they offer to the world and framing it up to their employer. And the faster that you can get to the point where you understand your value and you understand how to communicate, the better off you're going to be. So, okay, so we talked a bit about looking at these job postings, looking at relevant skills and qualifications. The next point is, let's figure out what your gaps are. Let's compare your skills inventory. So, like, let's say, for example, you in the Army, you work on air defense systems, and you're responsible for maintaining these air defense systems so that we can track friendly aircraft. And I've worked with a couple of mentees, interns that have come with that MOS. So they generally have a Linux background. They understand networking. They might understand some Bash. If, let's say, for example, you want to go from that MOS to a software engineer or a developer, we talked about education requirements. Maybe one thing they may be looking for, some of these software engineer or developer jobs, they require that you have a bachelor's degree or equivalent experience. And I have friends that work in the field that maybe that have over 10 years of experience and no bachelor's degree. Most employers will overlook that. Okay, equivalent experience or certifications. Okay. Usually there's some language requirement like Python, or if it's an embedded environment, then you're going to need to know C, C++. Or if it's a distributed environment, maybe it's a front-end web development using the full stack. These are some examples, right? So now you have to ask the question, and this is where really knowing yourself and how you sell yourself, you got to say, okay, how much time do I have between now and when I need a job? And take an honest look at your skills and experience and say, do I know Python enough to be able to go in and talk about myself so that employer can see my potential? And that goes on your list of gaps. Let's say in this job as an air defender, you just didn't do any Python programming. So what's my goal here? I've got to learn Python, create my portfolio of Python projects, create a GitHub profile. And if you come in and intern with us, I sit down with each person. We'll come up with a list of gaps, and then some ways to attack them. All right. Now, the next thing after you've done your gap analysis is really looking at where the market opportunities are. When I say that, it's a little different from looking at jobs that are hot out there. It's more what areas of the country are you going to be able to get? If you took an honest look at yourself, if you do have a degree and some experience, you could apply for a position on the commercial side, and either get an internship with a company and then a junior developer position. But what I recommend is that you take a look at your what's out there and focus in on where are my high value opportunities. Like, if you don't have a degree but you have but you have a clearance, going for a clear job in the government sector might be a great first start for you. So that's where I'm saying here, recognize high value, high demand areas in your field. Okay, so if you have any questions or thoughts or how you could proceed with this, I'm open for questions. DM me, contact me. But I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful.